Dan Shapiro is the former U.S. ambassador to Israel and a fellow at the Atlantic Council. He joins me now. Dan, thank you so much for your time. How confident are you that phase one of this deal will be successful and that we'll even see a phase two?
Well, those are two different questions, Stephanie. Phase one, I think, is underway. The Israeli military has already withdrawn to the assigned lines. The guns have gone silent. We saw the Palestinian population able to move back to their original residence areas. Now, the 72-hour countdown is on, and I do believe it's very likely that on Monday around noon, these 20 living hostages are going to be returned to Israel. A great relief, obviously, to them and their families. It was flagged that maybe some of the deceased remains will not make it in time, but I think that is when, of course, the big surge of humanitarian assistance will also go in. Phase two, much harder. It's very complicated. It's going to require weeks and months of negotiations on disarming Hamas, on reconstructing Gaza, on bringing in Palestinian security, Palestinian Authority officials, on bringing in international stabilization forces and an international oversight board. Lots of players and lots of stockholders in that. But the most important thing is that Hamas be disarmed and really removed from power so that there's no risk that the war erupts again in just a few months.
Well, staying on that same point, Hamas has long refused to give up its weapons, right? For Israel, disarmament is a key demand. Assuming we get there, how and who will make sure that happens?
That's a big part of what needs to be negotiated. There are international stabilization forces envisioned in President Trump's 20-point plan from Arab countries, other Muslim countries. They don't want to fight Hamas. They don't want to have to go into the tunnels or take out their weapons, but they want to maybe provide stability after that's been done. So to a significant degree, this is going to have to be negotiated. Otherwise, Israel would have to go back in and do it itself militarily. No one wants to see that fighting resume again, and President Trump seems to have given assurances it won't. So the pressure from Turkey, from Egypt, from other Arab and Muslim countries who have relationships with Hamas to say, it's time you lay down your arms. It's time you leave Gaza if necessary and let Gazans move on with rebuilding their lives. That's the pressure that's going to need to be brought to bear.
So much pressure, and Israel wants any future government in Gaza to be free of any Hamas influence. Hamas wants Palestinians, though, to work it out. So under the current proposal, who really is in charge here? What are your thoughts?
In that phase between phase one and phase two, it's kind of a no man's land in a way. There's no real authority. Hamas will still probably have significant power within that 50% or so of Gaza that the Israeli military is not present. There are some competing factions, clans, armed groups, and some of them may try to struggle with Hamas but again, this has to be negotiated. When Hamas says they want to do it together with other Palestinians, what the rest of the region wants, or what the United States and Israel want, is for the Palestinian Authority from the West Bank, which is still a group in need of some of its own reform, but certainly a more moderate and more reasonable organization, to increasingly become the more dominant Palestinian presence there, maybe first through some technocrats, but eventually through their own officials. If it doesn't move in that direction, Gaza will not be reconstructed, and the risk of a renewed conflict between Israel and Hamas will hang over everybody like a sword of Damocles.
We'll see how this all plays out. Israel, of course, stepping up security ahead of an expected visit by President Trump. We'll see how that plays out as well. Former U.S. ambassador to Israel, Dan Shapiro, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.